Morning, good afternoon, whatever may be the case. Again, it's always a pleasure coming to you, trying to highlight my concerns and my civil rights being violated by city and state officials. You know, as I said before, I've been begging and trying to plead with the various elected officials to pursue this matter in terms of investigating to see if whether or not the city was justifiable in violating my civil rights by unjustly terminating me. And what add insult to injury is for those that were involved in the cover-up is just as bad. But I give thanks to George Cruz, who's city councilman of the city of Bridgeport, as well as Councilman Ernest Newton and Anita Martinez. As you see here, Councilman Anita Martinez and Councilman Newton requested that the city of Bridgeport mayor's office have its chief of staff, look into this matter to see if whether or not the city was justifiable in terminating me or not. And it troubles me, that I met with Mr. Garnett, who was the chief administrator to Mayor Joe Ganim, and he gave me a warm welcome and all the above, and I appreciate the moments that he spent speaking with me. But it troubled me because here's what troubled me is that even though he was so nice and kind, it troubled me was that we really didn't deal with what I really came for in that full capacity in terms of what was the reason why I was terminated, was it justifiable or not. As you see here, this is what Councilman Newton requested, this is what Councilwoman Anita Martinez requested, was the city justifiable in terminating me. So we began to go on conversating along with my wife, and we talked about the fact that, Cecil, what do you want out of this? I said, I want number one, my job back, which he said, you know your job can't get back because the building has been closed. And I know the building's been closed. As I made one of my complaints, part of my complaint was that was a sick building, a building that was contaminated and caused people to come down with illnesses that they probably never recovered from. And that was the city welfare building on 752 East Main Street. So I understand that. But my point is that they requested that the city look into this. And Mr. Garnett said to me, Cecil, well, in terms of what do you want me to do? I want my name back. I want my name cleared. I want it to be cleared that I was just unjustly terminated or not. Can you come forward with that? Since they requested that, and since that meeting was requested for that, it troubles me that we didn't deal with that to the fullest extent. So what I did was requested to him was to go back to the mayor, Mayor Joe Ganim, who likewise had a second chance when he got arrested and was in charge and was sent to prison for what he allegedly was involved in, know about second chances. Councilman Newton know about second chances. My brother here know about second chances. Cruz and all the above know about second chances. And all I say is give me my second chance, Mayor Joe Ganim, I respect you. I respect the city of Bridgeport. I only say to you, that like you want your license back so that you can practice law again, I want my rights back, because my rights were violated. And I have a right to defend myself. I have a right to fight for my rights. And even though it may be said that this might have happened to me 19 years ago, it took a lot from me. It took a lot from my family. It took a whole lot, from me that shouldn't have never been taken, that I can't replace and you can't replace. But what you can do is correct the injustice by exposing the fact that this man was unjustly persecuted for something that he did not do, You talk about the wrongful convicted, the Innocent Project. This is my Innocent Project, which is thank God for public TV, Soundview TV, who's given me a chance to put out there to the public as to who I am and why could this kind of stuff go on with someone else like myself who's an American, who was born and raised here in the city of Bridgeport, a United States citizen, is saying to the mayor of the city of Bridgeport, as you say to the board of legal advisors, give you your license back so you can practice law again. I say, give me my rights back, Mayor. Give me my rights back as a taxpayer, All right? I got to pay over $8,000 a year for my home, that I've been paying for the last 30-something years now in the city of Bridgeport. I'm not no Johnny-come-lady. I'm not someone that just asks someone to look into something, to cover up or for you to look out for me. I'm only asking for you to expose the injustice. And you may say it happened out of your term. It wasn't in your term at the time. But, Mayor, your people got involved in this. When your people, Janet Hawkins, declared that I was a disgruntled employee, when you knew good and well that wasn't about the issue. It wasn't that I was a disgruntled employee. It was that I was complaining about, contaminated dirt piles, that our kids were playing on at the city health department. If you call that being a disgruntled employee, I say so be it. Because here is Councilman Newton, who was involved with me at that time, who I exposed these contaminated dirt piles to. And that's why I said, hey, some 18 years, 19 years later, thank God for George Cruz reminding Newton that he was a part of me, showing him that these piles needed to be removed. And for me to have worked with the city of Bridgewater for 27 and a half years, to be terminated from my job unjustly, and then to have the audacity to cover it up after all I've done for the city. Yes, it cost them $250,000 to remove these terminated dirt piles, but look at me. Put more cops in public housing. Young talked about housing woes. I am a community activist. This is what I do. This is what God called me here to do. And to turn around here and to violate my rights, okay, and to then to have the audacity to cover it up and to think it should be allowed to just go away after I've done everything possible under the sun to legally take time off out of work, okay. I requested time out of work. I asked for sick time. I asked for a time to be out of work because I was being treated, okay, by Dr. Wainick for extreme anxiety. They ignored that. I asked for a medical leave of absence from Janet Finch. She denied that. Why? Why would you deny someone like myself who worked for the city for 27 and a half years the right to be heard, the right to be treated? But you forced me to have to come to work even after you told me that you would still not honor it unless I gave you specific as to what I was being treated for. Well, I gave you that. I gave you that and much more, okay? All right, I gave you three doctor's notes. One was faxed over to you, okay? One was faxed over to you telling you that Dr. Wainick, Dr. Walter, who was my doctor at the time, was treating me for extreme anxiety, all right? This is something that I didn't have to tell you in 2006, okay, in 2706. I didn't have to tell you what I was being treated for, but you forced me to do that. Who in the world have ever heard of a doctor's note not being honored? And then to have the labor board get involved in this and to try to cover up by saying my doctor's note was unillegible, was a loop. Well, that's the way Dr. Walter writes. Look at Dr. Walters, who referred to me to Dr. Wainick, who was my clinical psychiatrist, who I've been being treated for the last 19 years, all right, Xanax and all the above, okay, in order to give me some kind of peace of mind where I can get a couple hours of sleep, nowhere near what I deserve and need. Why? After producing all this evidence here, look at this evidence. This is from Ether, my supervisor at the time, all right, who was on duty at the time that I was on duty, who I told on 3/16, all right, at 10/27 that I ought to be leaving, all right, to get married, to pick up flowers for my wife. All right, they have all that information, yet and still they ignored it all. And to have the labor board give the impression that my doctor was never treating me for extreme anxiety, and he referred me to Dr. Wainick for extreme anxiety. Here it is in black and white. Dr. Albert Walter referred me to Dr. Wainick to be treated, all right, for the extreme anxiety that was being caused by me. And they honored him in 2005. The same loop that he used in 2006. Is down here in 2005. They honored it then. They honored it in 2006 before. Why would they not honor it now? Instead, what the labor board called this was literally strips of paper. Could you believe that? The state of Connecticut officials lied under oath and said that these were literally strips of paper. Knowing good and well, over here it says that I was terminated because I have not returned to work. They classify it as I voluntarily resigned because I have not returned to work. You call it because I have not returned to work, therefore it is classified as unauthorized and your position with the city is hereby terminated. Terminated immediately. Why? Why was it terminated immediately, Jody Paul? Why was it terminated immediately, Dr. Evans? Why was my benefits denied when the union told you to honor me and reinstate me back to work? But no, you knew you can get away with it. Why? Because you had these folks here involved in the cover-up, the people that violated my civil rights. Albert Murphy, Gerald Wayne, and Mike Cohead, Dr. Evans, Jody Paul, all of the above violated my civil rights and think they can get away with it? No, I thank God for Soundview in order to tell my story. And I hope that you will go to YouTube and go to Soundview and download what I'm showing you, because dear go to God could be you next. It ain't about just me, it's about we. This is not about black and white. This is about right and wrong. And I watched the minister talking about the Poor People's March. I can't think of his name right offhand, but he was a powerful minister who was saying that all of our rights are being stumbled on. All of what we fought for is being taken for granted of and being taken advantage of. And yet and still, we act like we don't see the truth. And I say to the Connecticut Post, all right, cover this story. Never once was these people's name ever mentioned involved in covering up my civil rights, violating my civil rights. Okay, I gave all this information to the Connecticut Post, and I'm hoping one day that they will start printing some of it and tell the truth. And don't be afraid of the repercussions, because I got backup. You ain't got to worry about being sued by the city or by the state, because I got backup. I got on audio. I audio did stuff pertaining to what Jody Paul said about me. All right? She knew good and well that I came to work, telling her that I'll be leaving at 11 o'clock or 10:30, whatever it was at the moment. And that, yes, she said, you acknowledge the fact that I came to work, but I came in for an hour and a half and left an hour and a half later. Yet and still, she can say all of that. And the reason why I can say all that, and the reason why I got it all typed up, because I recorded it, unbeknown to them. I recorded Dr. Evans, unbeknown to her. So I'm not just giving you in black and white what I got to back up what I'm saying. I'm giving it to you in audio. Okay? And that's why I said to turn around here and to say, after terminating me for not coming to work, and to have a time card that clearly shows you in black and white that I did come to work on March 16, 2006, because I feared I would get fired. And I got married on that day. I got married on that day in 2006. And I say, thank God for the Assistant Attorney General Mitchell, all right, who will defunct what the Labor Board said in covering up for Dr. Evans, in covering up for Albert Murphy, in covering up for Jody Paul. Look at this name here, Mike Cohen. He was a part of the termination board. He was a part of the medical board benefits. He was a part of both of them. Yet and still on the tape recorder that I have, which you may not hear it all today, but I will play it for you if you have time to listen. You will hear Mike Cohen act like he don't know what was going on. You will hear Gerald Weiner say that she's telling the truth. How can she be telling the truth? Oh, she's telling the truth because you got paid, Gerald Weiner. And Mike Cohen, you got paid here for being on the sick board, but you didn't admit the fact that you was on the termination board too, and you could have told the truth, but you didn't. Why? Because you got paid. You got frayed. You committed fraud. Mike Cohen, you committed fraud. Gerald Weiner, you committed fraud. You allowed my civil rights to be violated. And thank God for Assistant Attorney General Mitchell, who was the Assistant Attorney General to Attorney General Blumenthal at the time, okay, who pursued this matter, who wrote to the state auditors, who made a final report and gave it back to the Attorney General Blumenthal's office. Yet and still, when I asked the Attorney General, now, where is it at? He can't find it. It's nowhere to be found. How can all of this information that I'm giving you cannot be found? Huh? How could it not be found? I want to know why. Huh? Here it is, evidence that on March 16, 2006, on the 15th of March, we got married. We got married on March 16th. We signed up and got married on March 16, 2006. Here's my wife, Patricia Nichols, at that time, and my daughter, Patricia Young, Crystal Young. And at that time, probate court judge Joe Paul Ganem. He married us. And thank God we married at the time that we got married, because that allowed her to be on my insurance policy, what allowed her before her passing. She died. She's no longer here now. Look at how strong and vibrant she was 5 years ago. But because of the smoking, because of the smoking and smoking and smoking, writing letters after letters after letters, okay, it wore her down to a point where she couldn't make it anymore. I had to take her to and from the hospital trying to get justice. Then I had the audacity to hire attorney John Williams, a so-called prominent attorney from New Haven that I heard as a fighter who threw the towel in on me. Attorney John Williams, who I paid $10,000 to represent me in circuit court in Bridgeport on Golden Hill Street. He promised he would represent me like he represented himself. He never once showed up in court, not one time. Not one time he showed up in court, not one time. When it came to going to the appellate court, he said he needed another $5,000. So altogether I gave him $10,000, and he still wouldn't show up. These are emails sent by my wife that she is no longer here, but she wrote these emails to him, 12 of them, 12 different times. She wrote all of these folks. And Governor Malloy, Lamont, y'all got this information as well, and if you don't have it, I'm going to send it to you again, because I want you to know that this show may be closed down because of what's getting ready to go on around the nation, but thank God of this recording show tonight that's showing that Cecil Young
An African American is being persecuted in 2025, and the question is why? Because he dared enough to care about people's rights being violated. He dared enough to care about kids walking on contaminated dirt piles that could cause them kind of cancers and things that would cause them to never recover from. That's what I got terminated for. I got terminated because of these contaminated dirt piles. And then you say to me, someone who cares about our people in our city, been caring about them all my life. Look at me. Supervised the Bridgeport Police Department 4 details. I supervised for the city of Bridgeport for the Housing Authority for 4.5 years. Sergeant and a patrolman. I supervised 8 police officers at each shift from 8 to 4, 4 to 12, around the clock, 7 days a week, holidays and non-holidays. I supervised them and only got paid for 5 days. And I was proud of it, to know that I had a sergeant and a patrolman in each one of these projects who learned the value of communicating with folks and making a difference. And do you know, out of the 4.5 years we were there, there wasn't no riot, there wasn't no hostile environment, there wasn't no hostile reaction. Why? Because they knew what my goals and objectives were, which was to show them. Here I am here teaching them, explaining to them that our job is not to lock up everybody we see just to be locking them up. Our job is to be visible enough to prevent crime. Look at A.J. Perez. A.J. Perez was the chief of police. He was a patrolman back then in PT when I first started out with the volunteer detail with Charlie Mack, Jimmy Cook, and Captain Navina. Captain Vino, he became a captain. Okay, all right. We made a difference in community policing. All right. Now I go to City Hall and get told I can't speak no more because I what? Used the N-word. Why did I use the N-word? Because I was tired of being treated like the N-word. What am I to do to say to you after 27.5 years, I can no longer speak in City Hall? I can no longer speak in City Hall after I've saved this officer's life. In Bridgeport, Officer Tony Simmons, I saved his life. When he was gunned down on Stratford Avenue, he got into a gun battle with a friend of ours, and he got shot several times, him and Officer Charles Smith, the basketball player. His son was a famous basketball player. But Tony Simmons was laying on the ground that night, enforcing no loitering on Stratford Avenue in Bridgeport. And when he got shot down, I ran into the bar and told Craig Kelly at the time, who became a lieutenant, who was a part of the Panther Party with us, because we all had our gangs, we all had our groups, okay, and I said, give me the keys to my car. And I took him to the hospital. I picked up his gun, I picked up his hat, I went up a wrong way, one-way street, and pulled him into the backseat of my car, and I'll never forget, there was a 10-year-old or 11-year-old to help me drag him into the backseat of my car. The bar was packed up with people of color. They would not come to reach a hand to get involved. Why? Because they was afraid of being caught in the gunfire or maybe being misunderstood as doing something that they shouldn't have been doing, when all I was doing was saying, hey, if it comes that, so be it. That officer was doing his job. And even though a friend of mine shot him and did what he did, all right, for whatever may be the reason, what triggered the reaction, the bottom line was that that man did not deserve to die, and I wanted to do all I could to save his life, and I did. He lived. He lived because I cared enough to want to do something about it other than just look at it and talk about it. I've been doing things all my life. I formed the P.T. Barnum Cadet Corps, when I was in P.T. Barnum. Young men and young women to patrol our neighborhoods, to make a difference, to show our kids that, yes, in height of what we don't have, don't mean we can't be. Look at what God has allowed me to do. Superintendent, manager of P.T. Barnum Housing Project, Soup Kitchen, ran the radio show with WDJZ with Russ Knight, former founder of the Workfare Program, community activist, mayor's community liaison officer, founder of the field crew. I've done it all. Why? Because I care. Look at Joe Owens, the managing editor of the Connecticut Post, who said Cecil Young is a man of action. Mike Daly says Cecil Young, managing editor of the Connecticut Post, put more police in our projects. Why? Because I care. And I'm saying, if I care enough to do what I do, you should be willing to embrace me. Now, I want to give some good news to the city of Bridgeport on Milner and Union. This was that way a few weeks ago. It is no longer that way no more. Ride down Milner Street now. It is clean as a whistle almost. There's no more trucks on both sides of the street as it was before. There's no more raccoons and big rats and possums and everything else running up and down the street every day. They're sending trucks and payloaders over there every day, 2 or 3 days a week. And I'm saying I thank you for doing that. Look at the fence that was tore down. Huh? No one ever filed up on that fence being torn down. Why? But thank God that the community TV, this issue was brought out there, and apparently the public works director seen our cry, heard our cry, and done something about it. And all I'm saying is that we love seeing the trucks every day, but instead of doing that, put a camera out there. Put a camera out there to identify with who's dumping in our neighborhood and catch them and make a point that you're not going to allow this to go on. Don't put no sign up on the wall for $100. That's a joke. A sign on the wall, hop up on a pole. If you dump, you'll be fined $100. Take the car. Stop dumping on us, creating these rats and these possums running rampant. I caught myself over 150 raccoons and brought them to the woods. Possums and skunks. Look at this fence tore down for almost 2 miles of fence tore down from Newfield all the way down there to the end of Stratford Avenue. Huh? Come on, y'all. This brand new fence was put up there some months ago. No, I told Frank Riccio at News 12, could he look at it? I don't know if he did or not, but I ain't heard no more about it. But it's just a shame and a disgrace that the state of Connecticut could use our tax dollars to put up this fence and to have them pipes be stolen. And no one say nothing about it, not reinforce it. That costs us money that we could be saving and doing with other things with it. So I say to you, yes, somebody got to say something, and I said something. But I say to you now, right now, Milton in the street now, the Public Works Director deserves an A+ for the way he got it being kept clean. Every other day I see 2 or 3 trucks and payloaders coming around our area, making sure they don't dump there, but they're constantly dumping. Put a camera there and make some examples. Stop it. Because you're wasting 3 big trucks with 1 payloader riding around in that same area. I appreciate it. But there's more other people that you can be picking up their stuff along the way. So if you're going to be coming there 2 or 3 days a week, let people know you're coming in that area so you can pick up their junk right along with that, because people are dumping on the side. And they're dumping on the side, and some of them have legitimate reasons to want to dump it on the side. When I went out this morning, I wanted to dump mine on the side. Why? Because they had some wood in there and they didn't want to throw it away. That's a dump truck. It ain't got to be just household trash. I pay $8,000 a year for my home. So I put out a little trash with a couple of woods in it, with some leaves in it. You're going to leave it there, don't pick it up. Come on, stop that. We are taxpayers. That's why they're dumping the stuff on the side of the roads, because you're disrespecting them, you're insulting them. Stop it. I was delayed to State Rep Joe Lugal. He was the state rep. Huh? I care about our people. God has blessed me to speak truth to power, and that's why I say to the mayor of the city of Bridgeport, Joe Ganim, now is the time for you to stand up and to practice what you preach and not what you teach. So please go to YouTube. Go to YouTube, and you will get the whole scoop on this story about Cecil Young and the things that he tried to get done. It is up to you to help me, help you, help yourself. That's what this is all about. It's going to get worse before it gets better. Right now, I want to commend the Bridgeport Housing Authority for all of its new developments, all of its new housings. But I still want you to know that I want something done about my neighborhood where I grew up in, which is P.T. Barnum. I want to know, is the sewage still being allowed to flow into a household trash can in the basement and being allowed to sit there until someone dries it up, until it dries up or whatever? I want to know, is it the same? Is it still going on? Because I want to pursue that. Because kids shouldn't have to go to school and to try to get shots for things that they could have been avoided if they didn't have these kind of diseases, these kind of mice and roaches running around, sucking up that juice, sucking up that waste, and biting on them in the middle of the night while they sleep, eating their food while they doze away from the table for a moment or two. We got roaches and mice that are running rampant in some of our neighborhoods. So let's put a stomp to it. Let's do it now while we can. So please, y'all, help me, help you, help yourself, for the best is yet to come. Because Cecil Young is a long way from being done. I'm going to stay on this issue because the lady, my friend, my woman at the time, Patricia Nichols, sacrificed her life to help us, help ourselves, and her life will not be done in vain. My daughters, my families broke up because of the stress that I caused my family because of it, and I'm not going to let it be done in vain. So yes, go to YouTube and download Cecil Young, and also go on there and ask about Cecil Young, the community activist. I didn't just show up. I'm not a Sidney Poitier. I am an American citizen. I am born and raised here in the city of Bridgeport, and I'm proud to be able to know that God allowed me to have that kind of power, that I used it for our people. And that's black, white, Puerto Rican, Jew, what have you. Thank you for listening to the show, and please tune in again next week for the best is still yet to come.